Buckle up, folks, because today we're diving headfirst into the future. Apple just dropped a bombshell of an update to their AI assistant, and it's got features that sound straight out of science fiction.
I know, right?
Ugh.
Seriously, where do we even begin? We're talking about AI that can help us be more visually creative, connect with each other in totally new ways, and even tap into the power of ChatGPT.
All while keeping our privacy locked down tight, of course, which is a big part of what makes this update so exciting.
Yeah, it's not just about adding a bunch of flashy features, it's about rethinking how we use our devices altogether. Like, imagine a world where your iPhone can actually understand what you're seeing.
Whoa, wait, hold up. You're talking about that new visual intelligence thing for the iPhone 16, right?
Yeah.
The one where you just point your camera at something and it can, like, tell you all about it?
That's one piece of it. But think bigger picture for a sec. We're moving away from just typing and tapping on our screens and towards a world where our devices can interpret the world around us, too.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
It's wild, right? But let's back up a bit and start with something a little less sci-fi. Remember Image Playground? That one caught my eye right away.
Oh, yeah, like, given our devices an imagination, basically. I'm picturing sending my friend a custom animation in a text message instead of just a boring old emoji. Is that even close to what it can do?
Closer than you think? So Image Playground lets you create unique visuals right within apps like Messages, Keynote, even Freeform. And yeah, you can totally create those custom animations you're talking about. They've got a few different styles to choose from.
Like what?
Well, there's animation, which has that modern 3D look, and then there's illustration, which is more clean and graphic, almost like a comic book style.
Cool. But I got asked, does it just use, like, generic images, or can you actually personalize the stuff you create?
This is where it gets really neat. You can actually pull photos from your own library to inspire the images. So yeah, you could totally make an animation that features your family or your dog.or, whatever you want.
No way. Yeah. So I could, like, generate an image of my dog wearing a tiny Santa hat, but in a cool art style, not just a cheesy photo edit.
You got it. It's all about adding that personal touch to the things you create.
Speaking of personal touches, how about we talk about Genmoji? Because this is the one I'm probably going to spend way too much time playing with.
I hear ya. Basically, Genmoji lets you create totally custom emoji based on, well, anything you can describe.
Serious.
Dead serious. Type in something like a cat wearing a top hat riding a unicycle, and bam, Genmoji will cook up a bunch of options for you.
Hold up. That's amazing. Like, the possibilities are endless. My current mood,
Mm-hmm.
an emoji. My dog in a funny outfit, an emoji.
Exactly. And you can use them just like regular emoji, sprinkle them into your messages, use them as stickers.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards.
Oh, wait, it gets better, right?
Yeah.
They mentioned something about personalizing them even further with, like, accessories or themes or something.
Oh, yeah, they're going all out with the customization.
Yeah.
So if you want to go full-on emoji artist, you can. Add little details, different backgrounds.
This is going to be dangerous. I can already see myself spending hours just making emoji.
I think we all might. Okay, ready to switch gears a little. Let's talk about how AI is leveling up the Notes app.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Notes has always been kind of my digital brain dump, but honestly,
Yeah.
it could use some help in the organization department. Is that what these AI updates are about?
Not quite. It's more about bringing your notes to life visually. They've added this new tool called Image Wand.
Ooh, that sounds magical already.
It kind of is. So picture this. You're in Notes, jotting down some ideas. Maybe you do a rough sketch to go along with them. Now you can just circle that sketch with Image Wand, and it uses on-device AI to turn it into a polished image.
Whoa, so it's not just recognizing the sketch, it's actually understanding what I was trying to represent, like the context of my notes.
Exactly. And here's the really wild part. You can even circle empty space in your notes, and Image Wand will try to generate an image based on the surrounding content.
No way. So if I'm brainstorm ideas for a logo and I jot down keywords, I could just circle some empty space and have it suggest visuals based on what I wrote.
Yep. It's like having an AI brainstorm partner.
Okay, now I see why they called it Image Wand. This is some Harry Potter level stuff.
Right. It's like Apple is saying, hey, here's some magic, go create something awesome.
Okay, let's talk about the updates to the writing tools. We've already got things like rewrite, proofread. Those are pretty handy. But this update adds something entirely new called Describe Your Change. What's that all about?
This one is cool. It's all about giving you, the user, way more control over how you edit your writing. Instead of just hitting rewrite and hoping for the best, you can tell the AI exactly what kind of change you want to make.
So instead of me racking my brain trying to make my writing sound more, I don't know, dynamic, I can just tell the AI to do it for me.
Pretty much. You could tell it to make your writing more poetic, more concise, more formal, more casual, you name it.
It's like having a personal editor on call 247. But hold on. This works on, like, everything I write right, not just in one specific app.
Yep. It works across the whole Apple ecosystem, even some third-party apps.
That's crazy.
Right.
They're really weaving this AI stuff into everything we do. Speaking of which, we got to talk about that visual intelligence thing for the iPhone 16.
Yeah.
That's probably the most futuristic feature of this whole update.
It's definitely up there. Okay, so imagine you're walking down the street, you see this awesome gadget in a shop window.
I'm already with you.
With iPhone 16, you point your camera at it, and boom, visual intelligence kicks in.
Okay, so it can, like, tell me what the Gadget IS. That's cool, but I feel like there's got to be more to it.
Oh, there's so much more. It can summarize text on the fly, translate languages, even pick up contact info like phone numbers and emails right from what you're looking at.
No way. So if I see a poster with a cool event, I can just point my phone at it and it'll grab all the details.
That's wild! Pretty much. It's like your phone suddenly understands the world around you. Oh, and you can even use it to do a Google search. Like if you want to find out where you can buy that gadget you saw in the window.
Oh man, that is so handy. But wait a sec. Let me play devil's advocate here. What about privacy? Is my phone just constantly scanning everything and sending data off to who knows where? Because that's not what I signed up for.
That's a super valid concern. But here's where Apple's focus on privacy comes in. With visual intelligence, you are in control. You choose when to activate it, what info is shared, and which third-party tools it uses.
So it's not just passively running in the background all the time.
Nope. It's got to be something you actively choose to use. Like, think of it as a superpower you can turn on whenever you need it.
Okay, that puts my mind at ease. Now we can't avoid this any longer. We got to talk about the elephant in the room. ChatGPT is officially part of Apple Intelligence.
It's huge news. Imagine having the power of ChatGPT right there in Siri and your writing tools. No more jumping between apps.
So I could ask Siri to write an email for me. Or use ChatGPT in Notes to generate content or even images.
That's the idea. But I know some folks are going to be wary of this. Like, hold up, is my phone now going to be sending all my data to OpenAI? That's a fair question.
Yeah, let me get some clarification on that. What's the deal with privacy here? Because I like using ChatGPT, but I'm not exactly thrilled about it having access to everything on my phone.
Apple's got you covered. First off, it's optional. You can choose whether or not to enable ChatGPT integration in the first place.
Okay, so that's step one. But what if I do want to use it? What happens then?
Even then, you're still in the driver's seat. You decide when to use it and what info is shared. And get this, by default, you don't even need a ChatGPT account to use this feature.
Hold up. So OpenAI isn't tracking my every request unless I specifically give them permission by creating an account.
Exactly. And to protect your privacy even further, Apple is obscuring user IP addresses to prevent any kind of session linking. Of course, if you do connect your ChatGPT account, you're subject to OpenAI's own rules. But Apple's default settings are all about keeping your data yours.
It sounds like they've thought this through carefully. I appreciate that. But wait. The innovation train doesn't stop there, right? They hinted at even more Apple Intelligence features coming soon. What can you spill?
Siri is getting a major upgrade. Think personalized intelligence that taps into your own context. Like, it'll learn your habits and preferences to offer more relevant suggestions.
It's like Siri is going from being a generic assistant to more of a personalized companion.
Yep. And get this, they're talking about something called on-screen awareness, meaning Siri can actually understand what's happening on your screen and offer even more helpful suggestions.
Okay, that's kind of freaky, but also kind of awesome. So it's like Siri is watching what you're doing and trying to be helpful.
Basically. And on top of that, they're expanding what Siri can do. It'll be able to take hundreds of new actions across both Apple and third-party apps.
Whoa, sounds like the whole Apple ecosystem is about to get infused with AI.
Yeah.
And to help us manage this brave new world, they're introducing priority notifications too.
Yep. It's all about helping you stay focused on what actually matters and not get overwhelmed by all the notifications flying around.
Okay, gotta ask. Anything new coming to Image Playground? Because you know we'll be spending a lot of time in there.
Get ready for a new sketch style. It's going to be super detailed and have a kind of academic aesthetic.
Ooh, that sounds fancy. Can't wait to play with that. Okay, but before we get too lost in the shiny new features, we got to talk about the foundation of all this, privacy.
Right. Apple has made it crystal clear that user privacy is at the heart of everything they're doing with AI. They're really focusing on something they call on-device processing, which means a lot of the AI models actually run on your device, not in some far-off server farm.
So my data ain't being shipped off to who knows where.
Right.
That's a relief. But what about those times when you do need a little extra computing power for a task? What happens then?
No worries, they've got that covered too. For those situations, Apple's developed something called private cloud compute. Basically, your data is sent to the cloud, but it's only used to fill your specific request, and then it's gone. Poof.
So it's not being stored or shared with Apple. It's literally just used to do the task, and that's it.
Exactly. Think of it as extending the privacy of your iPhone into the cloud. It's a pretty brilliant solution, actually.
Yeah, that's impressive. But how do we know they're actually keeping these promises? Like, is there any way to verify this?
Great question. And to address that, Apple's actually allowing independent experts to inspect the code that's running on their servers. So it's not just Apple saying, trust us. There's actual verification happening behind the scenes.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Transparency is key, especially when it comes to our data. Now for the million-dollar question. When can we get our hands on all this cool stuff?
It's rolling out right now. Apple Intelligence is a free update that comes with iOS 18.2, iPadOS 18.2, and macOS Sequoia 15.2. So if you've got a compatible device, go update. But there are a few things to keep in mind, like
Like what? Don't keep us in suspense.
this initial release is mainly for English-speaking users in a handful of countries: Australia, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, the UK, and the US.
Okay, so the English-speaking world is covered. What about folks in the EU? They usually have different rules about data privacy and all that.
Good point. Mac users in the EU can actually access it right now if they've got the right settings and a compatible device. But iPhone and iPad users will have to wait till April.
All right, noted. And speaking of compatible devices, do I need to shell out for the newest iPhone to experience all this AI magic?
Nah, you might already have what you need. It works on the iPhone 16 series, the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, iPads with A17 Pro or M1 chips and later, and Macs with M1 chips and later. So chances are you're already good to go. Out of all these features, what's got you most hyped?
Oh, man. Tough question. Genmoji is definitely going to be my time suck, I can already tell. But honestly, the way they've integrated ChatGPT while still keeping privacy front and center, that's pretty impressive. It feels like they're really trying to do AI the right way.
I'm with you on that. It's refreshing to see a company that's not just chasing the AI hype, but actually thinking about the long-term implications. It raises some interesting questions, though, like how is this blend of AI power and privacy going to change how we use tech in our everyday lives? Will it make us more creative, more efficient, more connected, but still feel insecure about our data?
Big questions indeed, and ones we'll be exploring further as we continue our deep dive into Apple Intelligence. But for now, I highly recommend checking out Apple's full press release. We'll be sure to drop a link in the show notes. And in the meantime, why not go play with Genmoji?
I'm sure we'll be seeing some truly wild creations out there. Now, before we move on to the even bigger implications of this update, let's take a step back and consider the context of what's happening in the tech world right now.
Yeah, good point. This isn't just about some cool new features, it's about Apple's vision for the future of AI and how that vision fits into a world where pretty much every tech company is scrambling to integrate AI into their products.
It's a wild time to be a tech enthusiast, and Apple is definitely making a statement with this update. It's like we've entered this whole new phase. Everyone's talking about AI. Every company's trying to slap an AI sticker on something. But Apple's kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're not just jumping on the bandwagon, are they? They're
Yes.
taking a much more measured approach. Like,
Yeah.
hey, AI is powerful, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right. And that focus on privacy is huge. It's like they're saying, we hear your concerns, and we're building AI with those concerns in mind.
Which is smart, because I think a lot of folks are kind of creeped out by how much data companies are collecting these days. It
Yeah.
feels like Apple's trying to position themselves as the, responsible innovator in this whole AI explosion.
Yeah, definitely. They're not just throwing AI at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're thinking about the long game here. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. We've talked about what Apple Intelligence can do on our devices, but how could this tech impact our lives beyond just making our iPhones a little smarter?
Okay, I like where you're going with this. What immediately comes to mind for me is learning and how we access information. Like, imagine a world where your iPhone could translate any language you encounter in real time.
Oh, yeah. Or summarize those dense research papers everyone's always talking about, but nobody actually reads.
Or even explain a scientific concept you're struggling with in a way that finally makes sense.
Exactly. We could be on the cusp of a future where knowledge is more readily available than ever before, like having a personal tutor in your pocket.
A tutor that never gets tired of explaining things.
Yeah.
And it's not just passively absorbing info either. Those creative tools like Image Playground and those souped-up writing tools, could those actually make people more creative? Like, not just consume, but create?
Absolutely. I can totally picture this explosion of user-generated content. Everything from AI-assisted poetry to personalized emoji masterpieces.
It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. Like, what happens when everyone has access to those tools? What does art even look like then?
Right. The possibilities are kind of crazy. Okay, let's get practical for a sec. How about work? How could AI change how we do our jobs?
Well, for one, it could finally take care of all those tedious tasks we all hate, like scheduling meetings and summarizing reports, maybe even writing those emails we all dread.
Right. Like imagine AI handling all the busy work, freeing us up to focus on the stuff that actually requires, human brains. Things like problem solving, coming up with new
Though
ideas.
we're not talking about AI taking over our jobs, but rather changing the nature of work itself.
Exactly. It's not about replacement, it's about evolution. But we're getting kind of hypothetical here. Let's bring it back down to earth for a sec. What does this update actually mean for someone listening to this right now?
Okay, good question. It's easy to get swept up in all the future talk. So, bottom line, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
If you're an Apple user and you've got a compatible device, you've got access to these powerful new AI tools. Tools that can make you more creative, more productive, maybe even help you better understand the world around you.
And you've got choices about how you use these tools, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not an all or nothing thing.
Exactly. You get to decide how much AI you want in your life and how you want to use it. Which brings us to another key theme of this update accessibility.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. Tech often gets criticized for leaving people behind, especially folks with disabilities. So what has Apple done to make sure everyone can benefit from these AI advancements?
Well, they've really baked accessibility into the design of these new features, like that describe your change thing we were talking about in the writing tools.
Yeah.
That could be game-changing for users with dyslexia or other learning differences.
It's like a personalized writing coach that helps you tailor your text to your specific needs. That's fantastic.
And it goes way beyond that. The visual intelligence stuff, that's accessible to folks who are blind or have low vision too.
Really? How does that work?
The AI can actually describe out loud what the camera's seeing. It gives those users a whole new way to understand their surroundings.
So it's not just a visual tool, it's an auditory one too. That's amazing. It's like they've thought of everything.
They're even exploring how AI could be used to, like, prevent disabilities from happening in the first place.
Whoa, hold up. Are we talking like Minority Report level stuff here? Predicting the future?
Well, not quite that advanced, but they're looking at ways to use AI to spot early signs of things like cognitive decline or vision loss.
Okay, so less about predicting the future and more about detecting potential problems early on. That makes sense, and it's pretty exciting, actually.
Right. It's all about using tech to empower people and improve lives. Accessibility is a big part of that. Okay, ready to shift gears again. Let's talk about education.
Oh yeah, this is a big one. I can already see how AI could totally transform the way we learn. Like, imagine a classroom where every student has a personalized AI tutor.
That's the dream, right? A tutor that adapts to each student's learning style, their pace.
No more one-size-fits-all lessons.
Exactly. AI could help students grasp tough concepts, give them instant feedback, even create custom learning materials.
But what about teachers? Does this mean they're out of a job? Replaced by robots?
I don't think so. Teachers will always be vital. They provide guidance, mentorship, that human connection you can't get from a machine.
So more like AI as a teacher's assistant then, like giving them superpowers.
I like that. And it's not just traditional classrooms either. Online learning could be revolutionized too. Make it more interactive, more personalized, accessible to people all over the world.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Breaking down those barriers to education. Okay, another area that's ripe for disruption by AI.
Healthcare.
We've already touched on how AI could spot diseases early on, but the potential goes way beyond that. Okay, give us the rundown. What else could AI do in the medical field?
Think about AI assistant doctors in diagnosing tricky diseases, analyzing x-rays and scans, even developing personalized treatment plans.
So AI could basically help doctors make better decisions faster.
Exactly. We're even seeing AI-powered surgery, like robots performing super precise procedures.
Okay, now that does sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's pretty wild. And it's not just about better care, it's also about making healthcare more affordable and available to more people.
Especially important with the doctor shortage we're seeing in so many places. Could AI help fill those gaps?
Potentially. Imagine AI-powered virtual assistants that can give you basic medical advice or remote monitoring for chronic conditions right from home.
So it's like democratizing healthcare, making it more accessible.
That's the hope. But like with any powerful tech, there are going to be challenges and potential downsides we need to think about, especially in a field as sensitive as healthcare.
Okay, so hit us with the concerns. What should we be wary of?
Bias is a big one. AI algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on. If that data is skewed, it can lead to AI making unfair or even harmful decisions.
Right, we don't want AI perpetuating existing inequalities, especially when it comes to health.
Absolutely. And privacy is another huge GE concern. Patient data is incredibly sensitive, so we need rock-solid safeguards to protect it as AI becomes more integrated into healthcare.
It's a lot to consider. It's like we're walking this tightrope between innovation and responsibility.
Exactly. We need to find that balance.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a step back and think even bigger picture now. We've talked about how AI could impact specific industries. But what about society as a whole? How could this reshape our cities, our communities, even our relationships with each other?
Oh, okay. Now you're really making me think. How does AI even factor into, like, city planning?
Well, transportation's a big one. AI can make getting around safer, more efficient, more accessible for everyone.
Okay, I'm seeing it. Self-driving cars zipping around, traffic flow optimized by some super smart AI.
Right. Or think about AI-powered streetlights that adjust their brightness based on how many people are walking around.
Or smart trash cans that tell the city when they're full.
Exactly. AI could make our cities more responsive and sustainable. And think about how AI could change how we connect with each other. Imagine language translation so good, it's like talking to someone in your own language, even if they're speaking something totally different. Or AI helping us find communities and friends based on our interests.
It's like AI could help us bridge those gaps between cultures and make the world feel a little smaller.
Right. But with all this talk about AI shaping the future, it's easy to feel like we're just along for the ride, right? Like, oh, well, AI is going to do its thing and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels sometimes, like this giant wave of technology is coming, ready or not.
But we're not powerless. We're not just passengers. We get to have a say in how AI is developed and used.
So it's not about blindly embracing or rejecting AI. It's about being informed, engaged citizens.
Yes. And asking the tough questions. Demanding transparency and accountability from the companies that are building this stuff.
This isn't just on the shoulders of, like, Silicon Valley, right? We all have a role to play here.
Absolutely. It's a global conversation. Developers, policymakers, everyday people like us, we all need to be part of this. Okay, ready for the final chapter of our AI deep dive. We've talked features, implications, challenges, but now let's talk about what it all means. What does this say about the future of technology itself?
Okay, I'm ready to get philosophical. So, are we heading towards some kind of sci-fi future where humans and machines merge into one?
That's the big question, isn't it? But I think it's less about merging and more about a partnership, like a truly symbiotic relationship.
So not like the cyborg scenario from movies, but rather AI is a tool that makes us better at being human.
Yeah, that's closer to the mark. Think about it. For centuries, we've been inventing tools to boost our physical abilities, right? Like the wheel, the lever, all that stuff.
Okay, I'm following you.
And now we're doing the same thing for our mental abilities. AI is that tool. It's like a mental lever.
I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense. So this partnership between humans and AI, is it already happening? Or is this more of a future thing?
Oh, it's already happening. It's just subtle right now. Think about how AI is already helping writers overcome writer's block or find inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Or musicians using AI to create new sounds.
Right. Or scientists using AI to make breakthroughs in medicine and tech.
Well,
It's all about amplifying human ingenuity.
and this isn't just about the big world-changing stuff. It's filtering down into our everyday lives too, right?
Exactly. From helping you find the perfect recipe based on what's in your fridge to planning a vacation,
Yeah.
AI is already making things easier and more enjoyable.
So it's less like a separate thing and more like this invisible force that's shaping our world.
I like that analogy. And as AI gets more sophisticated, that partnership is going to get even tighter. We're heading towards an era of like hyper-personalization.
Okay, now we're getting into sci-fi territory. What does that even mean? Hyper-personalization.
It means AI that understands your individual needs, your preferences, even your goals. So it can offer you truly tailored assistance, like something no human could ever do.
Whoa, okay, so now I'm picturing an AI companion that knows me better than I know myself, knows my learning style, my sense of humor, even my deepest fears and aspirations.
It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? But it's not impossible. But while it's fun to imagine all the possibilities, we gotta approach this with a healthy dose of caution too, right?
Yeah, that's where the ethics of all this come in, don't they? It's easy to get caught up in the wow factor of AI. But there's a flip side to all this too, right?
Absolutely. We can't just blindly embrace every AI advancement without thinking about the potential consequences. The questions of privacy, bias, control, those get even more important as AI gets more powerful.
So it's not about fear in AI or rejecting progress. It's about being informed, engaged citizens who are actively shaping the future we want.
That's the key. And that's why conversations like this are so crucial. We need to keep talking about the potential A and D, the pitfalls of AI, openly and honestly.
And remember, this isn't just on like the tech experts or the government to figure out. This is a conversation we all need to be part of.
Absolutely. It's a global dialogue. Developers, policymakers, ethicists, everyday users like us, we're all in this together. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Apple Intelligence, what's the one big takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
For me, it's this. AI is not some distant future anymore. It's here, it's powerful, and it's already changing the world in ways we're just beginning to understand. But it's ultimately a tool that you control. The choices we make today will determine what kind of future we build.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So let's stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious as we navigate this incredible new era of AI.
Couldn't agree more. That's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.